A couple of years ago, I got to work at a big box hardware store just down the street from my place. They have a pretty fast turnaround of employees at all levels, and in the few months that I was there, I believe the store had maybe 3 different managers. And the second manager of the 3 that were there during the time I did there, I remember he had a very loud projecting voice at a very low frequency. He sounded pretty cool. One day, one of my coworkers asked him, "Hey, so-and-so, why are you always in such a good mood?" And he said in his real deep, loud voice, "Work-life balance. Work-life balance. That's what it's all about. Work-life balance." And he just stood there and kind of just looked around. And yes, he did say it 3 times, just to make sure, I guess, everyone heard his answer. And then he walked away into his office. Then my coworker came over to me and said, "So what do you think?" And I turned and looked at him and said, "That's part right." And the reason why I said that his answer was right in part is because he kind of clustered in 3 very important parts of our life into just calling them life. And the other thing was just work. So you had 2 things you were working on. You were working on work, and everything else was over here. And we have to balance it. So you have this much work, and you have to divide that much attention into all the other 3 parts of life over here. Otherwise, it would be like this, and that's no longer balanced. So if you give the same amount of attention, it would be unbalanced. So you're gonna have to give work, in this case, more attention than the 3 other parts of your life. Sometimes, because this idea is put into our head so early on, we get caught up in that mentality that there's only 2 parts of it. There's whatever's important, such as work, and everything else, health, love, happiness, is clustered into just one thing called life. And then for those of us who have kids, we push that idea on them, but for them at a younger age is school life balance. So that main thing is school, and everything else is clustered into one thing called life. And what happens, like I mentioned before, you're gonna have an unbalanced scale if you get work or school, and then you got health, love, and happiness on this side. If you were to give all 4 of them the same amount of attention, because there's 3 here and only 1 here, this would be heavier. So it would be unbalanced. And that's not the way it would balance out correctly. In order to do that, you'd have to give less attention to health, love, and happiness in order to make it lighter so it does this. So now you're giving a whole lot of attention to work and much less attention to health, love, and happiness. If you give a lot of attention to wealth, that's a great thing. Believe me, I'm all over that. You got to do it. You got to give a lot of attention to wealth, to work. But if you neglect health, you may get sick. If you neglect self-love or just love in general, you may get lonely. And if you neglect happiness, joy, and pleasantness, you may lose your sense of direction or your purpose, and life may start feeling a little bland and empty. So the best way I think to do it is to give all of them. Health, wealth, work, love, self-love, overall love, happiness, joy, pleasantness. Give all 4 legs of your life, all 4 pillars of your life, the same 10x attention, and then you'll have a balance.